last version of my review sort of went like this. I don't know why, but there was no audio. So, weird enough. But there was no audio. Okay, perfect. There was audio. Cool. Beans. Alright. See you in a sec. What an intro. What an intro. So, there was no audio in the previous version of this review. So, basically, I had to delete the whole thing and restart, basically. I even rebooted my whole tablet and everything. So, yeah, that's why this review had to be redone from the beginning. Anyways, so, Super Smash Brothers Brawl, right? So, I am going to do this review in a weird way because I have played this game previously, like a very long time ago in my life, but I've also, I've also played this game, obviously, very recently, and I'm going to talk about both experiences in this video, so that way there's no need to make, like, a re-experience or something, or whatever. Anyways, so, and also I'm going to tell the story how we got Melee in the first place, and all that other sort of mumbo-jumbo, like, in the modern day, not right now. Right now, we're gonna go back to the past, and we're gonna talk about when I first got the game, like very first time, right? So I was a little kid, and I can't remember what year specifically, but I remember me and Louie, we owned like a GameCube and Wii because we were very heavy, like Nintendo kids back in the day. We weren't I mean, we had Nintendo, like I was very Nintendo heavy, but like my brother, and also my brother also really liked Nintendo too. But, you know, my dad was like more PlayStation. But anyways, you get it, right? We were Nintendo kids, so we owned basically a lot of Nintendo stuff. I mean, this hat doesn't just prove I'm Nintendo. I don't know what does. But anyways, the point is, right, is that I was a Nintendo baby, and I remember having Melee, like, not like for my first time, but I remember having like just Melee there, like on my Wii/GameCube for like many years. I remember I played this game with old friends. I played this game with, I can't remember if I played Melee specifically with like Nick, but I remember I played this and spent countless hours on Melee against Louie, with Louie, and all that other sort of stuff, right? Back in the day. Louie was the one originally, like when we first had Melee, not on my Wii now, but when we first had Melee, Louie was the one who did like break the targets, adventure mode, classic mode, home run contest, all that stuff. He did like all the events way back in the day when he was younger, and I barely did any of that stuff when I was young. When I first played Melee, I kind of just said, yo, I kind of want to play like the Mario Bros. In a fighting game, that's cool, and I played, alright? And I was very casual. Me and Louie were very, very casual Smash Bros. Players at this time. Not like anywhere serious. No, I still don't know how to wave dash and all that other sort of stuff. If anyone was thinking, oh, this man's good at Melee, right? So he knows how to wave dash and all that other sort of neat tricks and stuff and whatnot. No, don't know how to do any of that. Still, even 23, 24 years later, as a grown-ass man, I don't know how to do all that stuff. Still. Anyways, that was back then. I have very loose memories of back then in comparison to more recently. Anyways, let's move on to those times. So, how did I get my hands on Super Smash Bros. Melee? Well, it was very simple, actually. I remember one day, my brother and I, we were sitting in this room, and I was like, you know what? I kind of want a game. I want a game for the channel because you guys know me. I always try my best to find video games for the channel for, not only for you guys to watch, but for me to play, to get brand new, like, experiences or unique experiences or anything, right? That's what I like to search for. I like playing video games on YouTube and then reviewing those said video games on YouTube. So, I asked Louis, yo, Louis, why don't we find a different video game store or a retro video game store that we can go to that isn't like Zia Records or anything? Because 9 times out of 10, the Zia Records I usually go to, my local Zia Records that's in my area, they usually never have anything good for the Wii and GameCube section. Never do. So it's a bitch every single time that I want to go over there and find me a really good Wii game just for them not to have anything like good 9 times out of 10 or just something that's up my alley 9 times out of 10, right? So I asked Louis, yo, find a new place, and Louis like, okay, fine, I'll find a place, we'll go to it and see what's down there, right? So we went to a place called One Up Games, right? I have never been there a day in my life. So me and Louis walked like I think over an hour, 2 hours down there, and what a place. We found tons of Wii games and GameCube games down there, PlayStation 3, basically stuff, like a lot more than what Zia Records had to offer in terms of like PS3 and stuff, because they also had a lot of PS2 and a lot of other things, right? And then I saw it on the wall in that One-Up game store. I saw Wii Sports Resort, I saw Wii Sports, I saw Super Smash Bros. Brawl, I also saw Super Smash Bros. Melee, right? I saw Melee on the wall, right? Now keep this in mind. At the time, my brother only had like, what, 5, 10, 15 bucks, and I only had like 16 bucks, so we were like kind of going there to try to find something for cheap. And I know, usually you might be thinking, Alan, nothing's cheap in this world, or no video game is cheap nowadays, especially like old retro games for like your Wii or your GameCube or something. They're always super expensive. I know, but you can't help me for trying, alright? So, basically, I went over there, right? Me and my brother, we tried to pull out how much money, see how much Melee was, and I even asked the dude up front, how much is Melee, if you have it, right? And they said, Wii Sports Resort, the other game I was talking about, was 40 bucks. Meanwhile, Melee was 60. I was like, Louis, we might need to walk out, right? So we walked out, we left, we went home. We didn't really get a game that day, but Louis did go back, like, eventually, and he spent $60. He went all the way back to One Up Games show, so shout out to Louis for that. He went all the way back to One Up Games when he got paid 1 week and brought it back home for me. I think it was like a Christmas gift or something like that, and said, here is Melee, just for you, right? And I was like, bro, this is freaking peak, because I haven't played Melee since I was a little kid, and I'm always getting like Brawl or something. So I never really got to experience Melee in a really good way in a very long time, so yeah, this is freaking cool. I can't wait to make videos on this. So I think I made a video on Melee, like, if I remember correctly, like a day or two after I already got the game, because I like doing that. I like playing the game as early as possible, because it's like, that's the shit. That's just freaking awesome to me, getting the game, playing the game, all that other sort of stuff, all that other mumbo jumbo. But anyways, the point is, right, is let's get into Melee, like reviewing the freaking game, right? So, in my honest opinion, all right, of Super Smash Brothers, I almost said Brawl, of Super Smash Brothers Melee, or Melee. I don't know how people say it. I'm just kidding. I say Melee, like the announcer says it. But anyways, as I was saying, in terms of like an overall game, I really enjoyed my time with Super Smash Brothers Melee. Like, in the modern day, I enjoyed playing Melee. I did. There was a lot of times where I did, but I'm not gonna lie. The game definitely has its flaws. For example, I'm going to get into them, right? By the way, intro, really good. I love the Melee intro. It still looks clean. It still looks pretty good. It still looks crisp. That iconic-ass music for the opening of the game. Love that piece. Love that. I really love that piece. That piece is freaking amazing. Love that piece, right? Have a good sleep, my bro. Have a good sleep, bro. Good sleep to you. Good sleep. Get some good sleep. Anyways, intro is good. and I know I'm not really one to kind of critique this, and I get it. Sakurai didn't have a lot of references for these characters to go off of, because keep in mind, a lot of these characters were still in their pretty early designs whenever they, Smash Bros. Kind of started. I'm not gonna lie, like Melee, for a lot of their respective characters in Melee, look pretty outdated in comparison to a lot of their other characters. And I get it, but I can't help but like look at Melee and be like, damn, this is a unique a unique piece of history, because it's like, you look at Mario in his 3D model in Melee, you're looking at him, dude, that's like an upscaled version of his N64 like box or counterpart version of him. It's like a hybrid of N64 Mario, but also semi-new gen looking Mario, and then Luigi's the same look, and it's like, with other characters, like, some characters look better than others in Melee, like, for example, Samus, she didn't really change all that much through game to game to game to game, up to that point, and she looks pretty much like Samus. Same with Donkey Kong. Donkey Kong pretty much looks identical to himself, and they, like, some characters look really good, other characters just look like they alright, I know a lot of people like to kind of talk about how they look outdated, like some characters look pretty outdated in this game by the standards because they're so used to looking at Ultimate and Brawl, but I just had to bring it up because, like, I can't lie, I love the look of all the characters in this game, but, like, some of them have definitely had their designs changed over the years, and that's something that Brawl fixes, like their designs and all that other sort of stuff, their character designs and all that. They're more refined and they look more like them in the modern day in Brawl in comparison to Melee. Another thing I am going to talk about that I really did like was the state. Something else I did like, right, to kind of give a compliment, is obviously the music. I love Melee's music. Like, for example, like when you're fighting on Brinstar or the Mushroom Kingdom, or you're fighting in what's that, Dreamland in Super Mario Bros. 2 USA. I love that. I love the music in Melee. The music in Melee is top notch from each of the franchises. Really good representation in each of the games. Another thing I am going to talk about that's either good or kind of bad in my opinion is the AI. I'm not going to lie, the AI in Super Smash Bros. Melee when playing, depending on, like, how difficult it is, like, and this can kind of go into, like, my thoughts on adventure mode and classic mode, but I won't lie, I put the AI on normal, or the difficulty on normal in adventure mode for Melee, and I won't lie, there was a lot of times where I was, like, barely beating adventure mode, because, without losing a stock, or, like, going on with continues, because of the sheer fact of, like, the AI just being ridiculously hard anyway in adventure mode for some reason. Like, I have literally no idea why, and I compared the two because I've been doing adventure mode, like, religiously, and it's also kind of annoying doing that mode over and over and over again. But the AI in adventure mode on normal is harder than the AI on normal mode in classic mode. I have no idea how that works, and I don't know why it works that way, but I swear to God, when I gave those two modes a try and compared it to, it was almost like night and day with the AI. And I don't know if it's also because Melee also has kind of bad AI, because they kind of do. Like, it's kind of ridiculous how bad their AI is at times, but I don't know why. I just need to bring up the AI of the fighters, because sometimes it's either on normal mode it can be ridiculously hard, or sometimes on normal mode it can be easy. And I also really feel like this is something that I need to talk about too. The difficulty settings in classic mode and adventure mode and other things, right? Whenever you use very easy, normal, or hard, or very hard, I feel like the only thing that really changes is, like, the AI's, like, knockback and stuff. Like, for example, on very easy, like, most of your smash attacks can send them flying really quickly, and it's easy for them to get knocked off, right? And the more you tone down the difficulty, like, the more you make it, like, harder, like, very easy to easy, they get knocked out a little bit less than very easy, and then you go into normal, and it's like, they take forever to get knocked the fuck out, and whatever. It's a whole thing. I don't know if I really like that all that much. But it's just weird. The AI is just fucking weird in Melee. Another thing that I did like in Super Smash Brothers Melee, other than the music and stuff, was some of the event matches. Like some of the event matches, and this is something that I liked and also disliked. I meant to say I'm kind of mixed on it. Are the event matches, because sometimes the event matches are really fun and creative in terms of like their overall idea and premise. But then you also have event matches that are really difficult and are really annoying to sit there and do. And I feel like that is also kind of stupid to me, that I just don't like doing that with some of the event matches. So that's like how I feel about event. I'm going to talk about adventure mode and classic mode a little bit. I like adventure mode. Like when the first time you do it, adventure mode feels like it is a genuine, really good mode. Like you go through the Mushroom Kingdom, you go to fucking, after the Mushroom Kingdom, you go to the jungles, you go after that to Link's place, and yada yada yada. And I won't lie, like adventure mode, I feel like gets really repetitive and boring. Like the more characters you play in it. Like for example, right? Like adventure mode, bro, if you smoke, don't smoke. I'm not smoking. I don't smoke. I don't do any of that. Anyways, point is, right, when you do adventure mode with your first character, the experience of going through adventure mode is quite magical. It's actually quite good, right? But when you do it with the next character and 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 the next, right? It kind of gets not only like repetitive, but also like very boring, and you want to quickly get through it so you can move on to the next character. And I'm not gonna lie, since are you and Louis going to put your money together to buy a Switch 2? No, we're not gonna put our money together and buy a Switch 2. That is not happening. Unless like I get like a billion people overnight and ask me to freaking do a Switch 2, then I might consider it. But read Berserk. I have watched the anime but not read it. But anyways, I actually probably should review Berserk. Maybe one time. Maybe. That's a high maybe. But anyways, back to what I was saying about adventure mode. But yeah, doing adventure mode is great the first time, like I said, but then in repeat playthroughs of doing adventure mode, it gets really stale and boring, and the stages don't change, and it doesn't flip-flop. It doesn't be like random stages. Only like a select amount of like stages are random, but every main piece plays in that exact same order each and every single character you do adventure mode with. And I remember very early on when I was playing Melee, I was getting very fed up with just seeing the same type of content repeated, but my character, while doing the adventure mode, was different. It was kind of lame. And this is why I think I liked classic mode a lot more, because every single time you boot up classic mode, right, in Super Smash Bros. Melee, it's never the same guys over and over and over and over again. You might get some repeats, like for example, like team this character on one playthrough versus your other playthrough. Oh, like this was the same as, like, for example, you do Dr. Mario's classic mode playthrough, and then you got like Team Mario. You're up against Team Mario. Then you do regular Mario's. You go through classic mode for the most part. And then you also get Team Mario on him. So there might be some similarities, but at least with classic mode, a lot of it is randomized and different, so it makes each playthrough of classic mode feel fresh. At least for me. And I think that's why I prefer classic mode. And classic mode in general is a lot faster than going through adventure mode. Because going through adventure mode, I think on normal difficulty, depending on how good you are at the game, right, and not losing stocks and all that other sort of stuff, it should take you like 20-30 minutes to finish at least maybe one character's adventure mode, right? With classic, I think that gets dumbed down a little bit, because like, you're going from stage to stage with classic, but adventure, you have to go through one whole area, like the Mushroom Kingdom, and then at the end of the Mushroom Kingdom, like platforming bits and all that other sort of stuff, then you fight Mario and Peach. Then you go to the next area. It's a whole thing with adventure mode. Honestly, I prefer Subspace. If you really want me to go there and say which adventure mode was better, obviously I prefer Subspace Adversary, because at least there was some form of story where all the characters are conjoined together to stop a massive evil. That was something that I liked a lot more than Melee's. Melee's doesn't really feel like adventure mode was kind of like a story mode. It kind of just felt like, I mean, yeah, it did say what it said it was going to do, be in adventure mode, but I don't know. It was like a mythical adventure the first couple of times, but then after a while it got repetitive. Um, and I can actually say that for, I think, a lot of the modes that I did. Like, for example, right, if adventure mode got tiring after a couple times, I think even classic mode at a point, whenever you're trying to play with more than multiple characters, did get repetitive at a point too. Because it's like, damn, I gotta do this in order to unlock certain characters and whatnot. And this is another thing that I'm gonna go into. Unlocking characters. I'm not gonna lie, Melee's character unlockings, Subspace will forever be the best Smash mode and will never get topped. Screw World of Light for trying to do that. It honestly screwed up, if anything. Yeah, I would agree. Subspace is still at the top. World of Light was not shit. It just wasn't. It was just, it kind of felt like, World of Light, in my opinion, kind of just felt like Melee's adventure mode, but even less than that in a lot of ways. But anyways, shit, I'd rather take Melee's adventure mode over World of Light, to be completely honest. But anyways, that's for another time when I talk about Ultimate, if I ever do. Yeah, and some character unlockings were atrocious, especially Mewtwo. Yeah, that's what I was going to get into, back to getting the characters, right? I feel like the characters in Melee, some characters, like, for example, like beating Classic Mode and unlocking Jigglypuff after, that's not atrocious. That's not really that bad, right? But when you get to characters like Mewtwo, where you need to play 20 whole hours of versus matches, or have 700 versus matches, or have this amount of stuff in order to unlock Mewtwo, was absolutely ridiculous. I remember I had to spend like an entire day with my Wii turned on, my literal Wii just turned on, day in, day out, 99 stocks, Lightning Melee, me in the match with comms that are level 9, all items on, for like over a day and a half, and maybe even more days, because I did also do a couple of versus matches in previous Smash streams that I did, which all my Melee streams are available for you guys to go and watch, all 8 of them, right? But what is it, right? Because at first, when you're trying to unlock Mewtwo, you're thinking, okay, spend 20 hours in Melee, bet, I can fucking do that by doing all the modes in the game, so like the game can stay fresh, the energy of me being like excited to do things can be awesome, and all that other sort of stuff can be cool, right? Total playtime, you unlock Mewtwo. No, it does not matter how many times you spend, or like your overall time you play the game. You have to unlock Mewtwo by doing like what I just said earlier, specifically. You have to do versus matches specifically. You can do custom or whatever type of versus matches as long as it's a versus match only. That's what counts to unlocking Mewtwo. You have to get playing in that mode for 20 hours straight, or not 20 hours straight, but just 20 hours in general in versus match to unlock Mewtwo. Now, I know a lot of people are going to be like, unlocking Mewtwo, that should not be that bad. But, dude, it was. It was very time consuming, and I didn't have 4 GameCube controllers to stick in all 4 of the ports, so I could like make them the wait for Mewtwo only 5 hours, right, in comparison to the usual 20, because I wasn't expecting Mewtwo to be that bad, but characters like Mewtwo and maybe a few others in terms of unlocking them was fucking ridiculous. Like, for example, unlocking Mr. Game & Watch requires you to do everybody's break the targets. Every single character's break the targets in order to unlock Game & Watch, right? And you might think that's not bad, but what if someone that was not as experienced in break the targets or Melee from back in the day or even now tries to unlock some of these characters and they're stuck with Game & Watch missing or Mewtwo missing because they don't know the actual methods or the ways to unlock them because they don't have a manual or they don't have anything, they don't know what to do. Or even like Marth. I remember when I unlocked Marth just out of nowhere by just playing like a couple of versus matches just to unlock Marth, right? And then you also gotta, and how to unlock Roy, you have to unlock Roy by playing Marth's classic or adventure mode without using a continue. And, which, if you play it on very easy, it's not that bad, because there's no difficulty lock behind it. You just do it no matter what difficulty you wanted it, and just make sure you beat it with Marth. That's not a problem. And then Pichu, you have to go to, like, what is it, Event 37 and do, like, a legendary Pokemon thing to unlock to fight against Pichu, and then also in events as well. I think it was like event 20 something or event 30. I can't remember which one it was, but it was event 20 something for Ganon, event 37 for Pichu. See, now I don't mind like characters being locked behind certain events. I really don't mind that, but I don't know, man. It's just that like unlocking characters, like I said, for Melee can be a coin flip. It can be either really fun to unlock them or it can be really BS to unlock them. And Mewtwo again was one of the most outrageous in my opinion, one of the most outrageous ways to unlock a character I've ever dealt with in a very long time. Um, but anyways, other than that, right? Another thing that I loved but didn't like in this game was break the targets, right? I know I mentioned it a little bit about liking it, but there was a lot of characters in break the targets that I really did not vibe with. Like, for example, like Mario's break the targets in Melee for me, right? And I already mentioned why fighting characters, like unlocking them is another thing, but fighting them as well. I already mentioned it because Smash Melee does kind of have horrible AI, like, and I already brought that up earlier. But the point is, right, when I'm talking about break the targets, right, I feel like break the targets is, like, it was fun for some characters, but a lot of characters I really didn't vibe with. Like, for example, Mario's break the targets, I didn't really vibe with it all that much because the layout felt confusing to me. Like where the targets actually were for Mario were confusing, especially the one that's like in the corner where there's water that you can't swim in to grab it, and you have to like jump up, do your double jump, cape up B right into the target, and I'm like, bro, how is anyone gonna figure that shit out like on their own without some sort of guide or without somebody that knows how to play Melee at the back of their hand right there with them beside them, like having them play through the game? Or like Jigglypuff's break the targets, that was fucking horrendous. Or even like freaking Pichu's break the fucking targets. Pichu's break the targets. I spent more than like 30 fucking minutes on Pichu's break the goddamn targets because of, you know, like Pichu not having enough high jumps or just the targets being in bullshit spots. Or don't even get me started with like Ganon's or Luigi's break the targets where their stages are just actually fucking bad in my opinion. Like, don't get me wrong, Luigi's is very simple. Like, it's just a box with weird floating spinning things, and you just have to break all of them as Luigi. That's cool, and Game & Watch was kind of the same way in Break the Targets, in terms of Melee's Break the Targets. But at least with Game & Watches, at least, you know, they have this whole, like, Game & Watch system like that you're inside of that you can roam around in. At least you got a cool factor with that. But with, like, Luigi's, Ganondorf's, where it's, like, just kind of lazy shit, and it's, like, their break targets is based around, like, oh, you know, not really their moveset necessarily, but just, let's see if we can get away with a stage that's easy and quick and something that they can do. I always feel like N64 and Melee's target tests were great, but some character stages sucked and were annoying to complete. I honestly prefer how Brawl did it with 5 stages that any character can do. Honestly, that is a good point, but also, like, I also really like how 64 Melee did it because at least it's unique to that specific character, and we know that character can do it specifically. But I do understand that. I still wish they gave us a target smashed stage builder. Yeah, like something in later games. That would have been cool. But anyways, yeah, and I felt like that was annoying, right? And there was like a lot of characters that were kind of like that in Break the Targets, right? And I also felt like there was a lot of characters that were really good in Break the Targets. Like, for example, Peach, Kirby, Pikachu, and quite a few others I think I really liked. Like Game & Watches, Luigi's I kind of felt was like annoying, but also not like impossible to do, like something that I can just do without really thinking about it. And there might be like a few characters that I also like in terms of Break the Targets, but there's also a lot of characters, again, in Melee, and I can't stress this enough, that I really just did not vibe with, like, in terms of Break the Targets and stuff like that. Another thing that I really did not like in Melee was Home Run Contest. I was a massive fan of Home Run Contest in Ultimate. I was a huge fan of it in Brawl. I loved Home Run Contest. Home Run Contest was one of those modes that I would be going on like Melee or any sort of Smash game for and just playing that shit over and over again to see how... y'all know one of my most popular videos on my channel, or popular shorts on my channel, video shorts, who cares, same thing. He's literally Little Mac's home run contest video at 11,000 views. So seeing that home run contest in the beginning, like on Melee, and I get it, it's the first time like Sakurai had to do this. And again, Sakurai only had 12 months to work on the game, so if he just had as much time as he wanted to make Melee his perfected version, he probably would have like upped a lot of that home run contest stuff maybe and made it maybe feel a little bit better. I get it. But at the same time, honestly, Young Link's target test is honestly the worst one I remember when I first did it. I legitimately had to look up a guide on how to do it. Fair enough. I remember because like the game doesn't really teach you how to wall bounce and all that other sort of stuff too. There's a lot of things that Melee does not actually teach you how to do in game. Actually, matter of fact, I won't lie. Unless you look at the how to play, because then that's the only way you're going to know is when you watch the how to play video that they have in the game when you wait on the menu screen for long enough. Anyways, other than that, and target test and home run contest not being fun, I was upset that Board the Platforms didn't come back. Like, that was really only a Smash 64 thing. Like, I don't know why you introduced it in Smash 64, but then take it out in Melee. I loved Board the Platforms. Board the Platforms was actually a really cool mode, and it kind of felt like the polar opposite of Break the Targets. I was sad that that didn't come back. And also, there's another thing in Melee that I do want to talk about outside of that, or the roster. Like, for example, the unlockables, right? More than just the unlockables, I want to talk about their specific moveset. I get it, Sakurai, that back then when you were creating this game, excuse me, you didn't have a lot of time to put unique movesets and unique stuff to those characters, but Falco is literally just Fox with a little bit of a different shit. Young Link is just Link, but smaller and takes less damage before he's flown out the box. Roy is literally just Marth with fire and red hair. Dr. Mario in Melee is literally just Mario, but with Doctor's clothing on and more powerful attacks. Pichu is literally just Pikachu, but weaker. And Ganondorf is literally just Captain Falcon. And look, Ganondorf, everybody knows in the Smash community that Ganondorf is always going to be a Captain Falcon clone. And I get it. Again, Melee was the first game Ganondorf got into, and due to popular demand, it was cool to add Ganondorf, so Sakurai felt the need to add Ganondorf, which is fair. I would have added Ganondorf too, but I at least would have made his moveset based around his N64 self, not just Captain Falcon's. And I know making a moveset is a unique moveset for a character is way harder than anything I could have probably imagined, but the fact that he really is just a slower, way stronger clone than Falcon, that shit don't really sit right with me, man, dude. I'm not gonna lie, that shit don't sit right with me. And other than that stuff, not gonna lie, All-Star mode, I played that shit like once. I thought it was cool, you know, fighting against the whole roster. That's really fun and cool, but I don't know. I only did it once because I just really wasn't feeling, All-Star mode all that much. Another thing that I do want to talk about is the Giga Bowser fight. I will not lie to you. Adventure mode was really cool for adding a secret boss fight. If you beat it quick enough, you can fight without having any continues, and you beat Bowser quickly. You can fight Giga Bowser, which Giga Bowser is one of the coolest fucking Bowser designs I've ever seen in my life. And I've seen it quite a lot in my lifetime. When I was a little kid in Melee, and then, you know, Ultimate, looking at Giga Bowser still. He still has that form. It's kind of crazy how he still suddenly has it. But anyways, whatever. It's like a more monstrous version of Bowser, and it looks really, really fucking cool. Anyways, other than that, Giga Bowser is kind of annoying to fight in Adventure mode. And apparently, there's two ways you can unlock Final Destination, and these are like the only two ways that I'm very aware of, right? You have to beat Event 51, or you have to beat Giga Bowser without losing a stock on any difficulty that isn't easy or very easy. Honestly, I'm not gonna lie, I did beat Giga Bowser, but I lost a stock because I was playing Pikachu, and I got really lucky even to beat Giga Bowser as Pikachu. So the fact that those are your only two ways to unlock Final Destination, that is kind of gay. And also, other modes that I kind of liked / disliked was like, you know, the Cruel Melee, or 100-man 100 man brawl and all that other mumbo jumbo stuff. That was pretty cool. Slash, alright content. But other than that, and then all like the special melee options where you get to play as tiny or big or lightning fast or your controls are inverted or one button melee or whatever the fuck, all those special options are cool too. And yeah, other than all that, what's your opinion on gooning? I don't give a fuck. Like, if you do it, you do it. If you don't, you don't. Who cares? Not really a big point in this video when I'm talking about Melee. But other than that, Melee, like, overall, right, as, like, an overall game, should you play it in 2025? Honestly, I think, see, it's complicated. Because if you really, really love, like, Smash as a franchise, I think you owe it to yourself to give this game a go. Or if you play it, like, competitively like everyone else does, then I would just recommend you just play it through, like, Slippy or whatever. If you play it competitively, like, super competitively, like, wave dashing and all those exploits as base mechanics and shit, it's whatever, right? You can play it that way. But do I recommend you play this as, like, a casual person that just wants to try the game out? I mean, if you can find it for cheaper than $60, maybe, I guess, if you want to give Melee a try. If you're, like, a big Super Smash Bros. Fan, you owe it to yourself to give this game a try. It's the most talked about Smash game. It's the game that everybody remembers. It's the game that really inspired the whole series to kind of continue the way that it is, So if it wasn't for Melee kind of continuing the go, shit, I mean, I don't think Smash would have been as popular if it wasn't for Melee. So Melee did its fucking thing and beyond by being just it as a game. But if you're not really so heavy on a lot of Melee stuff, you're really not missing out on much. The only thing you're really missing out on if you skip Melee as an entry in terms of the Smash Bros. Games is you're missing target test. That's really it. Or you're going to be missing, like, I don't know, like Melee's adventure mode that, if you had Ultimate, you can literally, I don't know, somewhat play already somewhat of an adventure mode already with that mode by itself or other things. It's just, look, Melee, for me, in general, is a very solid game, and it had its moments of being really good and really bad, alright? It's not, like, the worst game I ever played. It's actually, matter of fact, really fun. I was, like, getting addicted to it because I haven't played Smash since Ultimate, and we all know how Ultimate went with online and playing with all you guys. It was a fucking bitch. I mean, it was really fun, but when I was doing Ultimate, but at the same time, it was a fucking bitch going up against other people online. It was a whole thing. But Melee itself, solid game. But anyways, as I was saying, Melee, great game. It's a decent game. It's not horrible. If you want to try it, go ahead and try it. But I'd recommend you either find it for cheap or you emulate it. And I know Nintendo doesn't like emulating. Hey, Nintendo's like, I don't care about the game. But then, they have their little Nintendo Switch 2 online subscription service where all their games are emulated anyway, but they have a $20 paywall behind it because it's their games and they can do that, or whatever the fuck. Just emulate Melee. If you can't find a cheap copy, just emulate the bitch and have fun with it. It's over 20 years old. Who cares, about, buying it? I mean, unless you really just, want that authentic experience, which I do completely understand. If you want that authentic experience, then go ahead and buy it. But emulate it to save yourself some cash and a drive to a retro video game store. Anyways, I'm out this bitch. Super Smash Brothers Melee. Is it peak or is it not peak in 2025? Like I said, yeah, it's still pretty peak. Even in 2025, it's still pretty peak. But it has a lot of faults. But all games have faults. Anyways. Deuces, y'all. Arekkusu TM. Actually, I should really do like a cool little freaking Melee thing. Maybe I should do like a. Should I do a cool outro for Melee? I'm gonna do a cool ass outro for Melee. Look, Melee deserves it, man. I'm telling you, Melee deserves something. Hold on. Let me give you something. You know what? This is gonna be the ending of the video. You know what? Yep, I'm doing this. You know what? This is going to be the end of my video. And you're going to love me for it. If you don't, I mean, it's a whole thing. Anyways, thanks for watching. By the way, I already sold my copy of Melee, so it's not here with me anymore.